Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elena and this is my new kitten Katniss. Say hi Katniss. So today I'll be talking about how to get a job at the bank as a new graduate, someone who just graduated school and doesn't really know where to begin. I wanted to share with you guys my experience and how I got into the banking industry as a new graduate and share with you guys all my tips and tricks on how to make sure you get noticed by those employers. So in this video, I will be sharing my tips and tricks on how to get your first job at the bank as a new graduate, as someone who has no experience within the banking industry, and tell you guys exactly how to get noticed and how to get that first interview. So if you're interested, please don't forget to subscribe, as I will be making some more videos on similar topics, and any other questions that you guys leave in the comments down below, I will be making future videos answering those questions as well. First tip I wanted to share with you guys is co-op/internship. And I know this might sound like something you already know, something everyone already tells you, but trust me, I want to highlight the importance of being a part of your school's co-op or internship program. So for me personally, what I did was, starting from high school, there was a co-op option at my high school, and they asked me which industry I wanted to join. So I actually did my first co-op at a bank. It was totally unpaid. It lasted 6 months at a very large bank. So although I didn't get a job right away from that co-op program, I did land a lot of connections that helped me in my future career search. So basically after the co-op term ended, I was still in high school, so I could not go back and work full time. So I basically left the bank and I didn't work with them after that. However, years down the line, I actually created my first LinkedIn account, and I noticed that my managers that used to work with me in my co-op program were all on LinkedIn. So what I did was I connected with all of them, and I actually sent them a message and reminded them that I did co-op a few years ago in high school. So from there on, my manager actually said, yes, we are hiring, and he referred me to my first official job at the bank. He actually said, you can come in for an interview, and it was just one interview, and I got lucky enough to land the job. So although you may think that co-op is not going to help you, it does help in terms of at least networking. And even if it's not a position that you like, and maybe your co-op is not something you want to do, it's still good to build your network, and maybe there will be a future position that they may know of. So I do recommend that if you're in high school or if you're in college, university, make sure you enroll into those internships. Also, if you are in college, they're actually, most of the time, they're paid internships, and they normally have a very high percentage rate of being converted to permanent. So a lot of my friends who are in college, they took co-op and they all landed their first job. Although some of them didn't really like the initial position that they got, they were able to transfer internally towards other positions in the bank. So taking co-op is really, really important because it's your way to get your foot in the door, to show yourself, to network, and connect with different people in the industry. So this brings me to my second point, which is LinkedIn connections. So as I mentioned before, I sent my first message to my manager, and that's how I landed that job. Now, after I left that job, I was looking for my next role, and I applied a lot through Indeed, Monster, all of those sourcing websites, and I just wouldn't hear anything back. So what I did was I went above and beyond, and I messaged people on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, there's filters where you can see who is working with an HR or someone who's a manager at the bank. You can filter that and you can find those people. That's exactly what I did, and I sent each of them individual message, and I let them know that I'm looking for a position, hoping that they would respond to me or they would notice me. Another thing I did was I looked into their HR team's posts. So once you connect with them, you can actually see if they have any job openings. So a lot of times these recruiters make a post on LinkedIn or ask if anyone is interested in this job. And they ask you to comment if you are interested, or they even sometimes provide their email address where you can directly send them your resume. So I did that a lot too. I emailed a lot of people from the posts that the recruiters were posting on LinkedIn, and I sent them my resume. I sent them a quick note that I'm interested. And yes, I did get some response from that. However, it was not some of the positions that I moved forward with. One is agency recruiting. So this is something that was new to me as well, and I actually didn't know that something like this existed that can help me in my career. Some of you may already know what happens is when banks have a lot of roles open, they transfer some of their roles towards an agency. These are third-party people that help the bank find candidates for their roles. So basically, this would benefit you because you would get connections with the bank through an agency. So a lot of agencies, they hire for the large banks, so they hire for some of the top banks, and they have really close connections with the managers at the bank. So your chance of actually getting calls and interviews for the bank through an agency is a lot higher than you applying directly. When you apply directly, it's very competitive. There's so many applications that they go through, and most of the time they just miss it or they don't even review your resume. However, if you go through an agency, it's a lot easier because they may email your resume directly to the hiring manager. They may even push you to be selected for an interview. So how this works is you can look up any agency. What you can do is send them a quick email and let them know that you're looking for your next role. Something else you can do is go on their website and see the type of roles that they are currently hiring for, what is open, and maybe on the email you can mention why you qualify for that specific role. However, I do want to let you know that a lot of their roles are contract. A lot of these agencies do hire only for contract roles. But once you are a contractor, again, you will be able to connect with the industry. You'll be able to connect with your managers and see if there's other opportunities. A lot of times when the contract comes to an end, a high chance of being converted to perm. So it's, again, another opportunity for you to get your foot in the door and show your skills so that you can potentially be converted either into perm or into other positions. My last point would be regarding job boards. I know I mentioned earlier that job boards were not so useful. I applied a lot and didn't really get calls. However, there are ways to get around that, and there are some tips and tricks even with the job boards. So for me personally, when I was looking for my next position, I actually went and posted my resume to public in all these job boards. So for example, Monster or Indeed, they have an option to keep your resume on public. So when you do this, employers can actually look you up. So recruiters, what they do is they look for a specific skill and they review whatever resume is public. Sometimes you have a better chance of having your resume public than to apply. Sometimes it's easier for them to find you by just searching on Indeed for that specific skill that you may have. Another thing is with agency recruiting, as I mentioned earlier, they are also people who go on job boards and search for resumes. So if your resume is public on there, they're probably going to give you lots of calls for their open roles. So when I was in the job market, I actually received a lot of random calls from agency recruiters asking me if I'm interested in their roles. And I was wondering how they found me, but I noticed that my resume was public this whole time. So they were able to actively look at my resume and present roles to me. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I know it was a very quick one, but I just wanted to tell you guys a few tips and tricks. And if there's anything I missed, please feel free to comment and I can definitely get back to you on that. And if you guys do have any ideas for future videos on this topic or any other topics you want me to discuss, please do let me know. It helps me to determine what I can make my next video on. Thank you.